Listeners, welcome to the podcast today. The gentleman that we have on this show was literally born while his parents were on a safari. He then went ahead and built one of the world's first, most successful luxury adventure travel companies. His name is Geoffrey Kent, and the name of the company is Abercrombie and Kent, not to be confused with Abercrombie and Finch. It was founded in 1962. Geoffrey founded it with his parents. And over this past 6 decades, he built this company to be one of the most lavish and successful travel companies in the world. They have 56 offices all over the world in 30 different countries with 2,500 employees. Abercrombie and Kent was sold in 2016 for a whopping 412 million. It was then reacquired and then sold again. And we'll love to chat with you a bit more about that, Geoffrey. But welcome to the show, and how you doing?
I feel really well. I just fled in from Chicago, came back to see the tennis tournament here, the Rolex Masters, which was yesterday, an amazing game. Over, sadly, in two sets. The Greek player, Stefanos Tsitsipas, won it, but I love tennis and beautiful day. Prince Albert and his family were there, and back to work here in Monaco
Do you
today.
do you play tennis yourself?
Yeah, I was a very keen tennis player, but I was mainly a polo player. You probably see in the background all the different tournaments I won. I won the U.S. Open twice, the U.S. Gold Cup, U.S. World Cup, captained Prince Charles, now King Charles's polo team, played with him for about 10 years. So I was really, I was the Rolex ambassador, along with Arnie Palmer, Jean-Claude Kelly, and Jackie Stewart. And so those are all my glory days on horseback. But so
um,
now,
well,
now I'm more a working guy. See, I've done everything backwards. Everybody usually works and then goes to play.
yeah.
I played all my life. Now I'm working.
I think I took the same route as you. I've been playing for a long time now. I'm working. No, I ask you because I just saw a post from Dr. Amen. Dr. Amen's one of the top neuroscientists in the United States. And he said people that play racket sports live the longest because of the way that tennis or ping pong light your brain up. And maybe that's your secret to success, playing tennis over the years or staying active. I was just curious.
No, I'm very active. Even now, I had a huge polo accident in '95. It was my third coma. Well, that's the
Mm.
problem. Playing polo, tell your neurosurgeon, we have a problem playing polo. It's the most dangerous sport in the world, more than motor racing, more than downhill ski. It's number one. And that's, of course, what I played. And this third coma, and it was a big problem. And I was told I could never play again. But I think even now, ever since, I still go to the gym probably 5 days a week for an hour and a half each morning. And I make that a routine every day for
In-
the gym.
Incredible. And what type of exercises do you do today, these
I
days?
would run for, well, run, I don't run anymore. I now do a speed walk at a big altitude of run about 6 or 7 for about 40 minutes, 45 minutes. And
Nice.
just about 4.5 kilometers. I do, yeah.
Very good. Well, let's talk some business talk. And first, I know there's a longing question that a lot of people are curious about, and I was curious as well. Where did the name come from, Abercrombie and Kent?
Well, first of all, we were farmers in Africa, in Kenya, and we had there was the Mama Rebellion, and then the land was taken over in 1962 when the Kenyans got self government, and they got independence in '63. But the point was we lost our farms in 1962,
Mhm.
and we were wondering what to do. And we've traveled, and my dad was amazing, and my mother. They were both incredible, and used to take us off on safari every holidays. I have one younger sister, 5 years younger sister, Anne, and I always asked my dad, "Oh, where are we going?" And he used to say to me, "Somewhere where you can't drink the water." That's so exciting. That means it's totally wild and mad out there. You can't drink the water. So we've been on. In those days we were hunting, shooting. It was a different era. And so when we came, said, "All right, we'll form a safari company." And we thought it Kent and I, both of us, my father and I, both want to be top of the yellow pages, the
Uh-huh.
old Google search, yellow pages.
Yeah.
Anyhow, we want to be at the top of that. So we came up with, you A, and thought of the anteater, and then finally we thought of what about Abercrombie? And there was our pilot was called Abercrombie. I remember that, and I remember also that, of course, Abercrombie and Fitch, the old Abercrombie and Fitch, not the new one, outfitted the president of America's big trip to Africa in the 1920s or 30s. Teddy Roosevelt, I
Uh-huh.
think it was the 20s or 30s, and it was amazing. The tents, everything was there. And so we said to each other, well, let's call it Abercrombie and Kent. And that was it.
That was it. Nice. And
Even now, I still get letters, very nice letters, saying, "Oh, Mr. Kent, we so enjoyed meeting you. He just had the most wonderful trip. And by the way, please give our warmest regards to the Abercrombies." I still think he's a senior partner. And by the way, I always said when I was building the business, "Oh, you must be my partner one day. He's all the cash behind the business.
yeah.
He's a finance guy."
Have you ever had any troubles with the name?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. When I opened up in America in about 1976, I was always a polo player, so I had a barn.
Yeah.
Then all the horses were down below, beautifully taken care of, grooms, everything. Upstairs was an old barn, nobody in it. And so I took that, and we had three raccoons, myself, one yellow telephone, and I brought one lady in from South Africa, one of my key ladies. Her name was Jane Mackenzie. And that was the start of Abercrombie and Kent. Within about a month of me announcing it, a huge package arrived like this. It's a cease and desist legal suit from Abercrombie and Fitch. What's this about? I have no
Uh-huh.
idea about America, about your laws, about what did I do? So I called up one of my friends called, I don't remember his name, Eddie Caldwell. Don't you have a big lawyer legal company in New York called Caldwell something and something?
yeah.
Anyway, he was a partner there. And so I went up to see him in New York. He said, "Jeff, this is serious. What are you going to do about it?" I have no idea. What, put it in a bin? What it is? You can't put something like this in the bin. I
Yeah.
said, "Okay, what should I do?" He said, "No, you have to fight this." And I said, "Well, I have no money. I can't fight it. I just own a few Land Rovers in Nairobi." And and he said, "Okay, I'll tell you what you do. I love you so much, and my family loves you so much. If you give me three free safaris, I will handle this for no cost." I said, "Done." And so he handled it, and we got out of them quite fast. Within about 6 months, we agreed that the cease and desist would vanish. They would never get into travel business. Abercrombie Fitch would never enter travel, and I would never sell accessories. No dark glasses, no hats. I could never sell anything like that. Shirts, trousers, shoes, nothing.
Yeah.
So that was it, and we went ahead.
So I know you started off as an entrepreneur at the ripe old age of 15 and you were selling elephant bracelets if I heard this correctly.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think sparked that innovation at such a young age? Were your parents you said they were farmers. Were they entrepreneurial as well?
They both were. My mother especially.
Uh-huh.
My father was very solid, incredibly smart, way cleverer than me, good-looking guy, but military, and everything was organized to the spot. Mother was do anything. She started something called Mountain Stream Mineral Waters, which made imitation Coca-Cola, ginger pops, and whatever out of the local river that went through our farm, the Charney River. She did that. We had market gardening with all the flowers you'd want. We lived at 8,900 feet
Mm.
in the mountains. And so we had daffodils and all the beautiful flowers, which you'd take to Nairobi once a week on a Thursday. We had eggs and we sold eggs. And we had pigs and we sold pigs. And we had cattle and we had a mixed farm. We had pyrethrum, which was a white flower, imitation DDT insecticide. And so that was my mother, beautiful, charming, gracious, and I always complained to my mother, why do we have so little money compared to all of our friends? Remember, Kenya was where everybody went to, the second sons of all the ruling families.
Hmm.
So they all came with their inherited fortunes. And we were just an army officer and his wife. So we had to do more. And so, yes, and I was determined. Our next door neighbors would always buy two Mercedes every 5 years, one for the wife, one for the husband, while we would have a 5-year-old Woolsey or something like that. I said,
Hmm.
no, we're gonna have Bentleys and Bentleys and Mercedes and everything. So I was driven very, very young to make money. I knew that was the answer.
And where'd the idea for Abercrombie and Kent come from?
Well, really, the three of us, we were all sitting down and, we had to do something and we'd lost the farm. And we'd all, my mother and father, my father was already working in a tour company, advising them. And my mother was the first lady guide in Kenya, but working for somebody else. So we said, why don't we do it on our own? And that's what happened.
And then you went after it. Would
One
you?
Land Rover,
w-
one Land Rover and 100 pounds.
That's how the best businesses start, with very little money, I think. But one of the things I appreciate about you, and it's where I heard about you. Cody Sanchez put out a reel recently talking about how she met you, and then how you were talking to her about building a business over the long term. 6 decades in one company, right? And so few people focus on that. So many entrepreneurs have this shiny object syndrome. They think, oh, I need to start this or get involved in this and start this side hustle and do this crypto thing. And they're completely diluted, right? And to be fair, in my early days, I did the exact same thing. And then I started realizing the most successful people had focused on one thing for a very long period of time and then shift to another. And I think that's what she said about you as well. What do you think for you gives you the ability to put the blinders on and to be able to focus on a business for so many years without getting tired or burn out?
Well, first of all, it's not often that you get up very early in the morning, sit on a plane to London, and sit next to somebody as attractive as Cody. So that was this is a very good start to my day. and, and Cody, if you're listening, do give us a call sometime. I'd like to take you out to lunch in Monaco whenever you're in the area. Yeah, so Cody and I started talking. I think we started off as a safari business, but I read so much every day. Still, I read the Financial Times, Economist. I read the Daily Mail for gossip. You've always got to know the gossip that's happening, and always it gives me ideas. But within that Abercrombie Kent brand, remember it started off as me being a guide. My mother was a guide. I was a guide. My dad ran the office. That's how it started. They left pretty young. They left when I was 27.
Mhm.
They left Kenya and they went to Andorra. They moved out of Kenya and I took over. I was so proud. Managing director, 27 years old, Abercrombie and Kent, 3 or 4 cars outside, not bad. And then I started to think more. And then I created my own product and I built the very first tented camp ever using because I've been in the military. I
Yeah.
also went to the Royal Military Academy, Sandhurst, like at West Point. I did everything like that. Went to Aden, North Yemen, uh, Houthis. They're still there, by the way. There's no change. We've been doing this for years. And then I ended up being an aide-de-camp to General John Frost. But I took all that expertise and actually made a camp and put it into trucks and said, why did we take photographs?
Hmm.
And then came up with the slogan, shoot with a camera, not with a gun. And ironically, I went to America and I went to Abercrombie and Fish. The big store was in those
Yeah.
days. And they loved it. Oh, Abercrombie. And they liked me a lot. And there's a guy called Buzz Chapin who ran it and his lovely wife called Jane. And I said, we believe in you. So what, you want to sell a photograph? We shoot things here. I said, no, I don't want to shoot things. We're shooting with a camera, but not with a gun. And so that's how I said, then I did big lectures and we sold all the first departures for 2 years out flat. And I led every trip. And they were amazing, and that's how we did it. But I think as the company grew, I added to it. So now we're a ground operator with camp, the very first camps ever. Forget all these new ones you see today. That was number one. We have a lot in Abercrombie and Kent, of course. But then, of course, I got fed up with everybody knocking me down in price in Kenya because I was an operator, a ground
Hmm.
operator. We call them DMCs today. So I said, I'm going to open up in London. So I came to London, found an old place, took a girl with me from Nairobi. We painted it for a month and did this, at top of a building, cost nothing. But the Kenya tourist office was down below. But that's another story. So they got everybody that came to see them, they'd send them to me and I'd sell a safari. So it was kind of a good marketing idea. So I was always thinking, and I always think, by the way, how do I sell this?
Yeah.
That's why I always start. I'm not one of those that I'm going to build and then sell. No, I sell and then build, apart from the original 10. So then we started that. Then we opened up in Chicago, Oak Brook, Illinois, the same as London. Then I became a wholesaler. Now I'm a distributor. Now I'm selling
Mm-hmm.
and operating. And of course, all the people who were selling hated that because I'm a competitor. So I went to all the travel agents. I lost all my business with the tour operators,
Mm-hmm.
Four Winds Travel, Raymond Wickham. Oh, there's so many, and I lost a lot of business when I opened up. You can't. That's why it's usually all subdivided. But I said, I don't have a big overhead. I do most of it myself, so that's fine. I'll catch up, and we did catch up. And then I got the deal of a lifetime. I took over from Lindblad Travel, the British Airways program out of America,
Okay.
right from start to finish. And they gave me 10,000 seats to promote my product. 10,000.
Wow.
Imagine getting that today from an airline.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we had a 5-year program of bringing travel agents to Kenya. I met one the other day who actually came in 1977. He remembered it very well.
Yeah.
And so that got me going. And then I said, well, why just Kenya? And then I started opening up in Tanzania, South Africa, Zimbabwe, then I said, why not India? So I went anywhere British Airways went, I
You
went.
went.
No, India, Egypt, everywhere they went, I followed. And used them as the background, used their marketing offices with me. They sold tons of airplane seats. I sold all the ground, both selling and going. And I built a business. Really, for the first 10 years, I'd gone from zero to about $1 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
1.2. I got the British Airways contract in 78, 79, launched it. Suddenly, by that, I'm at 1.5 million.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then it went 10 million, 20 million, 30 million, 40 million, 50 million. Wow, I got a business. 70 million, 80 million, 90 million. And I was off and running. Then I said, why am I doing this? Why don't I do it in the hotels?
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't I buy more cars? So I built ships in Egypt, never been done before. Small ships, never. It's just a big one. Small ships in Egypt. I bought more. I built permanent tented cabins, the first ever.
Yeah.
I bought more river ships, and then more cars. Then I said, "Well, why don't this every country?" And then every country had to open up. So, but I'm in many businesses. I'm selling it. I'm operating it. I'm a ground operator. I'm a Land Rover vehicle operator. We own canoes and boats and everything to do with the trip. But what it really taught me for an entrepreneur, I suddenly realized that why I'd been successful. I always said to myself, why has nobody done this?
Yeah.
And that was one of my big competitors in Kenya. Why haven't you done this? They said, we're petrified of entering America. I said, really? Why? They said, we don't want any lawsuits. I said, great. I don't care about lawsuits. I have nothing to take. I'll go. So, because they were the biggest. So I went. And of course, we had lawsuits. And by the way, I read a wonderful phrase the other day. Somebody said, if you've been in business a long time and you don't have a lawsuit, you're doing something wrong.
Right.
And
I've
so,
heard that too. Yeah.
oh, yeah. I knew there was a reason I left. And so and then I just got more and more countries, more and more things. And the company grew, and it's now $1 billion business. But that's what you do, right?
Yeah. Did you guys start off as a luxury company, or was there a shift?
No, we were always a luxury company.
Yeah.
Always. My mum and dad and me, we were kind of luxury people. I
Yeah.
know that sounds weird, but I'd never stayed in a hotel until I was 16.
Yeah.
And I rode my motorbike. There's another story from Nairobi to
Yeah.
Cape Town
Yeah.
when I was 16. And I stayed one night in a hotel. And it was so amazing. This hotel, they washed my bike and they took out my clothes and pressed them. I had a bar. I said, this is so cool. A motorbike during the day and all this at night. And then I thought, I'm going to do that one day.
Yeah.
Active during the day with all the comforts at night, wherever you are. So that was the kernel of the idea of Abercrombie Kent as it became.
Yeah. Those first 10 years you were in business, did you ever think
Yeah.
about quitting?
Never.
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 What about?
I think the military taught me so much.
Yeah.
The military taught you that you can never quit. There's no such thing as quit.
Mm.
Never. If you're sick, we had one thing at Santos, the Royal Military Academy, and I'm sure you have it at West Point. And the real answer was, officers do not get sick. Don't come and tell me you're sick. We'll leave the army.
Yeah.
You're not sick. Get better. You're never sick. You never quit. You never. However hard you get hit, jump up again. Do it again. And listen. I'm here. Look at me. I've had many things happen, and I feel just like I'm starting.
Did you ever think about quitting in the previous in the after that 10-year period? Was there ever a time when you thought about throwing in the
Never,
towel? Never.
never, never, no, never. Because this was what I knew. And we did so many things. We're now a hotelier, we're a ship operator,
Yeah.
we're a ground operator, we're guiding. We do everything in Abercrombie Kids. So it was like a huge businesses within businesses. What were those funny boards that you used to buy in Russia with all the dolls
Yeah.
inside? Remember those?
Yeah.
That was Abercrombie Kent. Doll, 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 more and more and more. And that was the idea.
How long did it take you to start expanding? Because originally it was just luxury trips and safaris. When did you start adding more to the company?
Well, what I realized was, well, yeah, by the way, we bought a ship.
Yeah.
We owned the Explorer ship, the Red Ship, first to Antarctic, first Northwest Passage, first Amazon. And it's because I want to be in that expedition cruising area too, expedition cruising. Now, I realized that, and by the way, I always said one thing all my trips were inherently dangerous when we started. And I said I would always do it first and work out. I'd always do it first. Every trip I've done myself first. And then I work out what's dangerous, what's not dangerous, and should we do it again or not do it again. And what I realized early on, the last mile that counts. So everybody books a trip today,
Yeah.
and they book through their travel agent, which is great. But the travel agents should actually book with Abercrombie and Kent because they book with anybody else. There's nobody there who cares. There's just people, small little operators, even big operators who don't care. We care.
Yeah.
As you can see, I'm totally passionate.
Yeah.
Anybody can write me. You give my number to anyone. I'm very happy to hear anytime. But I realized the last mile was the key. So I chose the guides myself, all the early guides, all the early teams of Abercrombie Kent, I chose myself. And they didn't have to go through any long interview process. Have you done it? No, don't give me any PowerPoint presentation. Rubbish. I looked at them in the eye, talked to them. What do you feel? Are you passionate? Are you good at this? What have you done? Do you like people? Like people? Would you go to breakfast on Christmas Day with them? If the answer was no, we don't want them. The answer is yes, we do want you. And I remember my final thing I always said to them, are you lucky? Do you think you're lucky? And if this lady or man said, no, I'm not lucky, they never got the job.
Mm.
I only want lucky people. I'm lucky.
Yeah.
Oh, I make my own luck, but I'm lucky.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody who feels they're unlucky.
Yeah. That's a
So
great.
it was all instinct, and the last mile makes a difference. So, I was doing I want to do river trips, and I did many river trips right down the Tana River, and then I was doing one down the the Mara River in the Masai Mara, and I had one of these small rubber boats, inflatable dinghies with an engine on, and we're going down. It was so beautiful. Wow, hippos here, hippos there, birds, lilac-breasted rollers, lions,
Uh-huh.
buffalo. Oh, this is so cool. Whoa, this is be such a winner. And then suddenly from nowhere, this is a true story, a hippo came out, right? Grabbed the front of the inflatable, and there were like four of us on it,
Oh,
or
wow.
three, and shook it, boom, 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 like a sheet. And up in the air. I flew miles through the air and landed near the beach or on the side of the river. One other guy landed in it, which is full of crocodiles. The Mara River has more crocodiles. That's where all the
Wow.
migration goes. Yeah.
Wow.
So he was in with the crocodiles, and I was screaming, get up. I scrambled ashore, and the other guy was nearby. He was fine. And we all got to shore, and the hippo just destroyed the boat, crushed the engine. There was nothing left.
Wow.
I said
Wow.
to our guys, you know what? That's an easy one. We will not be doing trips down the Maasai River. That's an easy one. So we all, I even went to the edge of space. I took an English Electric Lightning plane, 2.2 Mach
Really?
2.2. And we went 60,000 feet in 1 minute, vertically.
Wow.
And it was just me and a pilot, just two of us. Right?
Yeah.
I had to go for 2 weeks of pilot training, but I used to fly when I was young, so used to fly that. And then we came down, saw this curvature of Earth, Okay, and then we went down, did it out of Cape Town, went down over the sea, about 600 feet over the sea. And I love my South African pilot. He said to me, "Cross, Geoffrey, this would be a really bad time to have a sneeze." Okay, 600 feet into the ocean. Anyhow, I came out of that, and we were going to have A&K space.
Yeah.
I spent another 4 days there, went running. I used to do big runs in those days, running. And I always think when I run, I don't just run.
Yeah.
I think that this is really dangerous. I'm not sure we should be going to space. I don't. This is way back 2003, 2000, not then. I'm not sure we should be doing this.
Yeah.
Then I called up our chief pilot. We already had like 20 people employed in Oak Brook, Illinois.
Yeah.
I called him up and said, "What are the? I've just done this." He said, "Was it cool?" I said, "It was amazing, it was extraordinary." And I said, "But what are the chances of having an accident?" I mean, I went because you don't wear a suit. You
Yeah.
literally went. It took out like six G's, 6, 7. It was incredible. And I had a video taken of it. If you ever want to see the video, ask me for it. All right.
Okay.
And so they sent that to me, and I then said to him, "So what are the chances of having an accident here?" Well, he said 100%. No, I said, "You didn't hear me correctly." I said, "What are the chances, if you have a space program for tourists,
Yeah.
of having an accident?" And he did the American spy plane, so he was well versed. He knew all this inside out. He said 100%. I said, "Okay, so you're telling me if we do space, 100% we're going to have an accident?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Okay, let me think about it." And I went away for about 3 or 4 hours. I thought about it and said, "You know what? We're not going to do this. I'm in the holiday business.
Yeah.
I'm here to give people a good time, not kill people."
Yeah.
So let others do it. Let Branson, all these others do it. We're getting out of this right now.
Yeah.
We fired everybody. NK Space came to a halt, and we sunk all the money and wrote it off. But it was the best decision ever. We shouldn't be in that business. Anyhow, that's just one story.
Yeah, that's. Have you ever done any trips to? Recently there was that accident where people went to see the Titanic and they
Oh,
didn't come back, which was horrible. And I don't know if you know about our company, but we do events for entrepreneurs, fun, adventurous events like that. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to talk with you because you do a lot of those experiences that we want to offer to our entrepreneur community. But we looked at doing that trip. And, it was very expensive. I think it was $250,000 a pop. But then I looked at it and I was like, you know what? That seems a little just too much, a little, that's a scary one because, the worst could happen, which did, unfortunately. It could be very bad for a lot of people. But I understand that feeling because there's some things that would be fun. It'd be fun to go to space and to take a bunch of people to space on a regular basis. But if the risk is just too much these days, it's not worth it,
not worth it.
No.
Because, I mean, you don't need that.
Yeah.
So we never did that.
Yeah.
But I've been to the South Pole. I went there. I've been to the North Pole. Did you know that more people have climbed Mount Everest than have been to the South Pole?
I
Did you know
didn't. But
that?
seeing the pictures of Mount Everest these days, I'm not surprised actually because it looks like a highway.
Yeah, yeah. And I've been to Base Camp Everest. But yeah, so I've traveled a lot, and South Pole's interesting actually, but it's quite rugged. It's quite.
I could imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was reading about you before the show, and I heard a couple stories that seemed really exciting that I wanted to chat with you about. And one of the things that I heard that you did is you heard that I think it was I believe the CEO of Chase, one of the Rockefellers, were coming to
Yes, David
Nairobi.
Rockefeller.
Yeah. And you went straight to his office and told him he was going to go on a safari in one of your safaris when he came to Nairobi. And you mind sharing that story a bit?
Yeah, it's quite a long story, but very true. So when I was trying to get Abercrombie Kent launched and had a few cars and had 1 or 2 camps, I realized I needed a famous person to be with us. Karen Downey, a big rival in Kenya, which did all the big game hunting, been there since the 1930s, always had all the movie stars. They had this guy and this guy. And we're like Abercrombie Kent. Who's heard of Abercrombie Kent? I said, I have got to get Richest. And I saw on the cover of Time magazine that David Rockefeller was the richest man in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, well, that's a good place to start. Why don't I start with David Rockefeller? my,
Why
my
not?
dad had left us. I'm on my own now.
Yeah.
So, young guy trying to make it. And so I said, but we had exchange control in Kenya. We couldn't get any money out. Couldn't buy a ticket. Just in Nairobi. How was I going to see David Rockefeller?
Mhm.
So in the end, I persuaded the head of Sabina, his name was Tony Danvers. I would teach him polo. I was always a good polo player. I would teach him polo if he would give me a free ticket on Sabina
Mhm.
to Brussels and get me to New York. Long story, we did that. And I went with the flowers from Nairobi to Brussels, in with all the flowers, cut goods. It was half passages, half flowers. And then I got to New York. When I got to New York, I went into the Rockefeller Center and went up to the top. In those days, you could do that and asked to see Mr. Rockefeller. All right.
Mhm.
His aide was somebody called Ambassador Joseph Reed the
Okay.
third.
Okay.
Ambassador Joseph. He went on to be your UN ambassador, American. And he said to me, who are you? I said, my name's Geoffrey Kent. I'm from Nairobi, Kenya. And I think that Mr. Rockefeller should come on a safari with me. I understand he loves Beatles. I found that out. I understand he loves Beatles. I show him all the best Beatles. And I know he'll be coming. So Joseph Reed said, oh, you know that Mr. Rockefeller will be coming to Nairobi? I said, yeah, there's a bank. There's a Chase Manhattan Bank being built near my office. And I'm sure he must come down to open it.
Uh-huh.
Joseph Reed said, Mr. Rockefeller does not open banks. I said, okay, I guess I got that wrong. I just thought it would be. And so he said, anyhow, you're very nice. I loved all my stories. And he took me out to lunch and sent me home.
Yeah.
So I never got, and so I went back. 6 months later, I'm thinking, that was pathetic. I was right in Mr. Rockefeller's office, right there.
Yeah.
I know he was in there. And I never saw him, all right? And so I went back again, repeated the whole process 6 months later. This time I just walked in and Joseph Reed said, fancy seeing you here again. But at that minute, see, I'm lucky. Out of the office came David Rockefeller.
Ah.
So I went straight up to him. I said, Mr. Rockefeller, my name is Geoffrey Kent. I'm from Nairobi, Kenya. I have a lovely company called Abercrombie Kent. I want to do safaris. I understand you like Beatles. Why don't you come on safari with me? I can show you. I can introduce you to Dr. Richard Leakey. We're going to look for early man. And we can do all of this. Because I was at school with Richard Leakey. Richard and I were very close friends. And we can do all of that. And he turned, you love it. He turned around to Joseph Reed and said, what a wonderful idea. Joseph, why didn't you tell me about that? We can go.
Ah.
We're going to Egypt. Why don't we extend our trip afterwards and go and visit Geoffrey and do the safari he talks about?
Yeah.
And Joseph got so angry. He said, yes, Mr. Rockefeller. Yes. So David went out. He said to me, well, I guess you got Mr. Rockefeller. And so that's how he came. There's a
Wow.
picture up there. So there's a picture of David. He then went on to do like 45, I'm going to find you a picture, 45 trips with us
Yeah.
in his life.
Wow.
Gave a huge party for me in his house with all his family and said, this is Geoffrey Kent, who changed my whole life. And that's what I've done to so many people. I've actually made them do something they would never normally have thought of. We went swimming in Lake Turkana, in with the crocodiles. And David said, will they eat me? And Joseph Reed said, you can't do this to Mr. Rockefeller. he's Mr. Rockefeller. I said, no, he should swim with crocodiles. It's fine. They don't eat people here. Yeah. And so we're celebrating his 100th birthday. We're in Morocco with my wife.
Yeah.
And he asked me to do a private dinner for his 100th birthday.
Mm.
And he had both Joseph Reed and himself there, right? So I said to David, would you mind if I just told the story about how I met you? I know, Joseph, this is going to be so embarrassing to you. Do you mind? And they both said, my wife never believes the story. She said, I just made it up.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I tell you? And they said, sure. And so this is me telling them the story and giving them the book.
Oh,
You see?
wow. Wow. I could
That's
see it. Yeah.
David.
Yeah.
You see David?
Yeah.
And that's Joseph.
Wow.
Both in wheelchairs, and he was 100 years old. That was his 100th birthday.
How old were you at the time when you went to his office the first time?
Oh, 27,
Just a young man.
26.
Wow.
Yeah, I couldn't care. You know, the other thing is I never cared.
Yeah.
So many people always worry about what somebody's going to say. Don't worry about what somebody's going to say. It doesn't matter what they say.
Yeah.
Just go and do what you want to do and do it.
I agree. I agree.
And that's what we used to do. You know.
Yeah. It's one of the reasons on this podcast series we're interviewing 100 founders of billion-dollar companies. And same thing, I had that little voice come up in my head like, who are you to think that you can interview 100 people that have built billion-dollar companies? And then I just started doing it. And everybody seems really open and thoughtful and wanting to share their life story and how they grew their business. And it's been one of the best things I've done to this day.
Honestly, I think anybody who's built their business from zero to $1 billion is remarkably surprised.
Yeah.
I'm remarkably surprised when I think about, wow, that's me, that's funny. And then they love to show off a little bit because they like to say, oh, that's what I did. We actually, what we like is to go back to the memories.
Yeah.
I've been doing this a long time. I was 20 years old.
Yeah.
So seems a long time ago. I guess it was a long time. So you actually always like to reminisce a bit and talk about this.
When you were 20, did you ever think you would be doing the same thing 60 years later?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I knew I was going to make. You ask anybody. I always said that I was going to make $1 million. I said then I was going to make $1 million for sure.
Yeah.
I told everybody. And
Incredible.
the funny thing is, when we all started in Kenya, and we were a lot of the entrepreneurs. A guy had this, a little this. A guy was making swimming pools. I thought, nice business. Another guy had nightclubs. I said, that's interesting business. And so I was always looking at these ideas. And I had my little business, which nobody really thought of. It wasn't very much. And we always said we'd made it. Once you get a Rolex watch,
Uh-huh.
you had to get a Rolex watch. You had to get a Mercedes-Benz car.
Uh-huh.
And if you really made it, you had a small plane, which you flew yourself. I
Nice.
got the Rolex watch. I've still got it. Yeah, it's actually I've got it on today. For some reason.
Nice.
So
Yes.
this was the original Rolex.
Wow.
That's my Rolex watch. And then I got a Mercedes,
Yeah.
1972 Mercedes. And then I had a small plane. I had a twin-engine Aztec, Piper Aztec, which I used to fly around Kenya.
You fly yourself.
Yeah, and then I thought, I never actually, I flew single engine, but I was so busy, I never even got my license for twin engine. So I was just single. So I had a pilot with the Aztec,
Yeah.
and I started with a Piper Cherokee, which I flew myself.
Oh, wow.
And then we had that.
One of the things I learned about you, Geoffrey, is that you like to act on instinct and intuition. And you even mentioned that you don't care so much for like marketing plans or business plans because they take out the instinct and the kind of gut reaction. Do you mind sharing some times in your life when you acted on that instinct and how you do that regularly and how you apply it to business?
Yeah, I mean, the problem is today, everybody gives a long lecture. They come in with photographs of everything, PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, there's always a reason when you're starting something. Much more easy to say no than yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it was yes, it would have been done already. So nobody's going to say yes to anything new. They're going to say no. Then they protect their position. They haven't made a mistake, but you don't grow that way.
Right.
So actually, only an entrepreneur who owns his own business and doesn't care actually should do this, right? So I'll just give you one. I mean, there's so many times I believe my own instinct, from building the ships in Egypt to, I don't know, the tender camp idea, which was the best ever. Actually, doing photographic safaris was a really good idea
Yeah.
because anyone could do it. But a very quick one. I was looking around London about 10 years ago, and I thought we should be selling. I always got bothered that being travel, we never have anything to show anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So I can sell you a Mercedes, because look at my Mercedes. I can get a LaFerrari, take you for a ride in it. You buy a LaFerrari with me in it, you buy it in a second, okay, in a minute. But I can show you the car. We have nothing to show. It's just an idea.
Yeah.
And everyone can say, well, I can do that idea, but cheaper. Or why go with them? We can do it better. There's no reason to do it. And so I said, we should actually be retailing. We should actually have a shop to go to, a bricks and mortar shop. So I told my driver, I was going off to Africa for a while to do a movie for about a month. And you're going to be sitting here in London doing nothing. Go and sit outside Harry's Bar. Harry's Bar is where all the ladies go to lunch. It's one of the top clubs.
Okay.
And then I go there a lot. And I said, go and sit outside Harry's Bar at lunch. Every lunch, sit outside. And I want you to follow every car which costs more than £250,000, right?
Uh-huh.
Don't follow a normal car. Big luxury car. Follow them after lunch with women in it and find out where they're going. Because they're going shopping. They go to Harry's Bar and then they go shopping. So find out where these luxury cars go to.
Uh-huh.
So he said, yeah. Okay, good, okay, good. So I got back and I got so busy and doing this. And finally he said to me, Mr. Kent, you know that idea you gave to me before you left? He said about going to Harry's Bar. I said, yeah, I remember. What was it? And by the way, I make yellow notes beside my bed every night. Every night I wake up, I have like 5 notes. He says, what about? He said, you told me to go and stand outside Harry's Bar. And so I did that. And I thought, oh wow. So did they all go to one place or did they move around everywhere? Did they go to one? And he said, yes. Over half went to one place. I said, no. Over half of Harry's Bar went to one place? He said, yes. I said, guess where it is, Mr. Kent? I said, I have no idea. That's why I spent a year looking. I've looked at Knightsbridge, I've looked at St. James, I've looked at everywhere, where all the rich people should go. And I'm never quite sure because London's sort of split in half.
Yeah.
And he said, they all went to Harrods. And a good friend of my owned it then. And so I said, wow. So I went to Harrods. And there after lunch, the ladies went there.
Yeah.
And then, cut a long story short, I made a deal with Harrods. There was a travel company there already. I said they're 3-star business, get rid of them, which we did. There's a break in the clause. I opened up Abercrombie Kent. I had to pay £280,000 to have it decorated. I made it look like a beautiful inside of a yacht, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
It does millions of pounds every year. And perfect. So that's instinct.
I love that. I'd like to ask you more about your thinking process. So you did mention that you write post-it notes every night. And then you mentioned you give those to Samantha. What's that process like if you have a list of post-it notes that come in every week? What does she do with them? Do they come back to you an email to remind you? Or how's that process look?
No, you take the post-it note, right?
Yeah.
That could end up in a phone call, email, usually a phone call and email, right? And I'll forget. I always write everything down because I'm old-fashioned, all right?
Yeah.
I write everything on a yellow pad, like that,
Yeah.
okay? Simple. So every post-it note or idea goes down there. You see, I'm crossing them off here.
Yeah.
And then I'm starting another one today, all of which has to be done today, right?
Yeah.
Now, urgent stuff. I like everything done today. I don't want anything waiting. Got to be done quickly.
Yeah.
Some of the post-it notes don't go anywhere, but I always have good ideas, and sometimes they make big, huge businesses. They can do anything.
Do you ever
So that's
Do you ever find yourself like I'll do something similar, but I find myself getting a collection of ideas that get backlogged that I never get to, and then they come back. Like, what do you find yourself?
no.
You
You
just
mustn't have a collection
okay.
every single day. No collection. Every day. I'll have 3 today. She's got them already. We've already done it.
Yeah,
And so I just follow up every single day. It has to be done.
fair enough.
We work weekends too.
What do you think makes your
You hear
thinking?
that one? We
Sorry,
work weekends.
you work weekends
We work weekends.
all through the weekends.
No, you do not take time off on weekends. It's the stupidest thing any entrepreneur can do.
Yeah.
So dumb. You're giving away 2 days doing nothing.
Yeah.
What's that about?
Yeah,
You should work. And then you're 2 days ahead of it. There are only 7 days in a week. So almost 1/3. So 1/3 of the week, 99% of people don't work.
yeah,
More, 100%, 99.999 don't work.
yeah. It's true.
I always work on this.
I love it. Um, I want to ask you more about your thinking process. What do you think about your thinking process makes you unique or makes it unique for you?
Oh, my thinking process?
Yeah,
I don't think it's all thinking. I think it's more. You've heard the expression, being in the right place at the right time.
yeah,
I think I've always started off being in the right place with a good idea. Many other people could have done it, but it was the right place, right time.
yeah,
I had huge passion. I have mammoth energy. I never get tired. You can
yeah,
see I'm like, I feel full of energy right now. So mammoth energy and determination to get it done today, not tomorrow. You've got to have a huge ambition.
Mm-hmm.
You'll never be beaten. You don't want anybody to ever beat you. You've got to be totally 100% competitive. All right? Go for it all day long. Um, yeah, and follow through. Most people do not follow through. They have
Yeah.
good ideas and they don't follow through. One of my favorites. Keep moving.
Keep moving.
Never stop moving because all the time I'm moving. Breakfast here, lunch there, dinner here. Use up the time.
Yeah.
Don't go and have a coffee on your own. Meet somebody. Because if you're moving, out of every meeting comes an idea. Look, I'm sitting on the plane and we wouldn't be talking if I hadn't been sitting on a plane and Cody and I started talking, right?
Yep. It's true. It's true.
Wouldn't have happened. I'm just sitting on a plane. What do most people do? Sit on a plane, read a book, and do nothing. If the person looks interesting, talk to them. If they look boring, cut them off. Pretend you're dead. Pretend you're sleepy. Have nothing to do with it. Don't waste your time.
Couple more questions. We'll wrap right up. Best book you've ever read, except the one that you wrote.
Oh, I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh yes, one book, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I've got so many books. I
I.
read all the time.
How
I've
about
got
like
so
this?
many books.
How
I've
about
got
like
hundreds of books.
how about like this, Jeffrey? The best book you read
What?
in your early days as an entrepreneur, and the best book you
Okay.
read in the past couple of years.
Okay. Well, the best book I read as an entrepreneur was called West with the Night
Okay.
by Beryl Markham.
Okay.
If you had never read that book,
Never heard of it.
read it.
Okay.
Read it. Everybody listening should read that book. It's all about Africa. She was a pilot. It's so well written, so beautiful. It's a magnificent book. West with
Okay.
the Night by
Okay.
Beryl Markham. That's that one. Well, I think somebody, who I may be having something to do with in a minute, called Ben Mesrich. He's a big writer, big New York Times.
He's one of my favorites.
Ah, so you may be hearing something.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
He's a great
Was that
author.
Ah, and I love it. The Accidental Billionaires.
Yeah. Is that
That is
the new
really,
book?
no, no, no. His
Oh.
new book is Dumb Money.
Okay.
Dumb Money, I think. But I've read all of his books, and yeah, that's a Ben. Yeah, he did a great one about the
Yep.
MIT guys who played blackjack, made into a movie called 21.
Read
Did
it.
you see that?
Yep. Read it and saw it.
You read it. So Ben Mesrich, the best.
I actually spent a few months of my life trying to learn how to count cards just because of that book, but unsuccessfully. It didn't work out so well.
By the way, my wife, we do these around the world trips.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Sorry, let me finish that.
Fair.
So, the last 10 years, I wanted to create something different again.
Mm-hmm.
This is about instinct, right? This answers many of your questions. The company grown a lot, was pretty big, but I thought that all of our product was all great, but it was becoming, they'd cut back in areas, which they weren't utterly, like, they're full of adventure, but not quite as much, full of luxury, but not quite as much. They were cut back.
Yeah.
It's rather like a chocolate to cut back the bar of the chocolate and sell it at the same price.
Yeah.
That's what we would do. I told them, you're cutting everything back. So why are you doing this? This to my board of people. They said, oh, well, we've got to remain competitive. We've got this company doing this company doing that. We've got to come within that price range. We have to cut this, got to cut that. I said, that's so stupid. Say we don't do it. Oh, no, we lose all our sales. Then we won't have the sales. Then we won't have this. We won't have that. So I said, okay, I'm going to start something, and I can make it fast. I eventually called it Inspiring Expeditions by Geoffrey Kent.
Mm-hmm.
Go and Google it, actually, after this. You can see it. Inspiring Expeditions by Geoffrey Kent. This was no holds bar. Unlimited price, unlimited adventure. Private yachts, diving off Palau, caviar every night, the best champagne, beautiful bottles of wine, French, Italian. Everything was perfect. Each body had a personal diver, and I do all these things. I dive and do all this stuff. And it sold out because you don't and few people. And I modeled it after Chanel because my wife was buying a bag in Chanel,
Mm-hmm.
which cost like, I don't know, $15,000 for a bag this big.
Yeah.
So I asked them, how do you guys get away with selling a thing this big for $15,000? So they told me, they say one or two of them, they never make them again. They only distribute them here and there. I said, I'm going to do that to travel. So Inspiring Expeditions, I only do it once. So if you don't travel with me, that's it,
You'll
gone.
never get to again. Yeah.
and we sell it out. And we've got another trip going in October, completely sold out. 48 people gone. We're going to land on where Napoleon was imprisoned. We're going to go to Nagaland in India. We're going to go to Kanazawa Castle in Japan, and we're going to finish up in Brando's Island to chill out at the end. We're going to Easter Island. We're going to go to Ecuador. Amazing trip. 3 nights in each place, and each place is better than the next. So that's been a huge hit. This year, one trip I did, I went to Ethiopia.
Uh-huh.
2 people each had a helicopter, and went all over Ethiopia, from the lowest land to the highlands to the Omo River tribes. It was spectacular.
Wow.
So you can Google it. South Pole, I took a lot of people to the South Pole. Thank goodness I only offered to do it once. I'd never do it again. Never did again, but I did it, and so that's what I do.
I love it.
And so that's been our recent big idea,
I love
and
it.
it worked. By the way, I told all my crew, because none of them liked it in the office. They said, "No, it won't sell." I said, "Tell you what, I'll do it. I'll sell it. I'll do it. I'll operate it. If it loses money, I'll make up the difference. If it makes money, you keep the bonus." And they've always done well.
If you were going to give one piece of advice to your younger self, 20 years old, what would you tell him?
Oh my goodness me. Maybe don't live quite as dangerously. I think I'm really lucky. I'm really lucky. For military life, polo life. I was jailed in the Sudan. That was a horrific experience.
That sounds like a fun story.
Rivers, yeah. But on the other hand, if I hadn't been like that, I've never created Abercrombie Kent. So
It's true.
hard to say.
I've loved this chat, Geoffrey. And, for somebody that does events for people as well, I've loved to get behind your mind and creativity and the way you think in the events that you've created for others, because it makes a difference. Like you said, even David Rockefeller said you changed his life. And I'm sure thousands and thousands and thousands of other people can say the same. And I always like to ask, because we have some pretty amazing people on the podcast and come across some great people. Is there any way the listeners can keep an open ear to help you out, or anything you're looking for, any projects you're working on that we can keep our eyes open to support you?
Two things.
Yeah.
2 things I'm trying to do, right?
Yeah.
One of which, I've never been to Angel Falls, but I almost have that under control. I've got to get to Angel Falls, the only big falls. But the other one I once was with His Royal Highness Prince Sultan from Saudi Arabia, and he's the one who went into space, and we're hanging out, having a coffee together. And so I said, and he's a very adventurous guy. So I said to him, "Is there one thing in your life, like that you wish you'd done?"
Oh.
And he said, "Yes. I wished I'd been an Air Force pilot in the Royal Navy, or the American." I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, to take off a jet plane from an aircraft carrier and land it must be one of the most incredible feats of bravery and ability."
Yeah.
And I said, "Wow, that's really good. That's what I want to do." And I've been trying. So anybody listening here, I've been trying to contact, and the Italian Navy were going to give us one of their aircraft carriers, but it probably was going in reverse and sunk by now. But anyhow, that didn't go through. But if anybody knows anybody in the British Navy in America who can lend us an aircraft carrier, we'll pay, obviously.
Yeah.
And have for about 10 people to take off and land in one of their planes as a passenger, that's what I want to do.
Incredible.
And we've got people working on it, but that's one thing.
Okay, listeners, if you guys can help us out with that, let us know, and then we'll connect you with Geoffrey. Geoffrey, thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. I could talk to you for another 3 hours, but I know you've got limited time, and we're going to get the interview out to the listeners soon. But thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
Where are you based?
I'm in Barcelona.
Oh, you're in Barcelona?
Yeah. Not too far from you. Yeah, just around the corner.
Oh, I thought you're American. You're American, no?
I'm American, yeah, but I live in Barcelona.
Well, I mean, come and let's have a lunch here. Come to Monaco.
If I come through Monaco, I go up to Italy a lot in Tuscany, but I've never been to Monaco. But if I come that way, I'll let you know for sure.
You're
and
invited.
Vice versa.
Come to Monaco. Lovely. We'll have a lovely dinner. I can show you this 1 square mile of 30,000 people, how we all live.
It'll be great. And likewise, if you're ever in Barcelona, I'll take you out as well.
We will. I'd love that. But you actually live there, right?
I do, yeah. Right,
Fantastic.
right near Picasso Museum, actually, like about
Wow.
60 seconds away from Picasso Museum.
I've been there. I've
Yeah,
been there.
yeah. So
Yeah,
not
Barcelona is a very nice place.
It's a beautiful city. Yeah, beautiful. So I know you
Okay.
got to go. Thank you so much again.
Thanks a
And
million.
we'll let you know when we go live, okay?
Okay.
All
Thanks a
right.
million.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Bye.